Oh, yeah. The Big Boy Studio here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Someone's going to get fired for leaving this place unlocked. He's Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. This is Bet, overlooking the illustrious Caesars Palace Resort and Casino. We've got tourney picks for you today as the Tournament Challenge returns. What's next in Los Angeles after LeBron suffered an ankle injury over the weekend? And, you guessed it, more tourney picks. If you want more betting info, more betting content, check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. It's Monday. Feels like Friday. Tomorrow could be Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, this whole entire schedule of the NCAA tournament has me all kinds of thrown, all kinds of twisted. Friday to Monday. Next week, it's like Saturday to Tuesday. Heads are falling off. What's going on here?
But the schedule doesn't change. We're here for you on a lovely Monday, and we begin this show like we always do with a little reaction or no action. 3 big statements. Count them large, count them loud. I don't even know what that means. Didn't really rehearse any of this. And we're going to react if we agree, and there will be no action if we disagree. Are you ready, sir?
I'm ready to count large and count, what was it? Count large and loud?
Let's pretend like it never happened, although on the internet.
Loud, I got that covered.
A 114-112 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder on Sunday sent the Houston Rockets to their team record 20th straight loss. Reaction or no action, the Rockets will win a singular game this week.
I think the Rockets will action, or reaction, I should say, on the Rockets getting that dub and ending this losing streak. They have a matchup tonight against the Raptors. They're 8.5-point dogs. I'm not going to pick them on the money line there, but I do like having the 8.5-point head start with the Houston Rockets.
You don't like the fact that they've lost 20 straight?
It doesn't scare me. There's been some extenuating circumstances in this. Of course, there was the James Harden saga and having him dealt and then bringing new pieces in, getting them incorporated. And then there were some COVID issues, some injury issues, and they added more pieces like Kevin Porter. They did that deal now with Milwaukee, PJ Tucker to bring in the Wilson or Augustine DJ and Wilson DJ, the comma there with their last name.
My mistake, now forgotten. We're on to this mistake.
But I think finally we're starting to see the opportunity for all those pieces to come together. Christian Wood's back from his ankle injury. John Wall's playing more minutes. I don't know if he's on second leg of back-to-backs yet or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's now able to do that. Victor Oladipo has been healthier now recently, and then adding veterans in like DJ Augustine for some stability certainly helps. So they have a matchup with Toronto, a matchup with Charlotte this week. Just lost the LaMelo Ball for the rest of the season, and then a couple of matchups with the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have played better since moving on from Ryan Saunders, but are still one of the worst teams in the NBA. So I think there is opportunity in one of those 4 games, and it will happen. We'll get a victory.
When will it be?
I'm going to say it happens against Charlotte. I think they lose to Toronto, go to 21, but the streak ends at 21. They beat the Charlotte Hornets. Houston, you no longer have a problem.
I'm going to react as well. I'm on the same side here. A lot of opportunity this week. Toronto's lost 8 straight. They look like sellers at the deadline. They're not motivated at all. Kyle Lowry's probably going to be leaving town. General manager's probably going to be leaving town. It's going to be a complete rebuild in the great city of Toronto, or I guess state of Florida, because that's where they play now.
Yeah, they're actually the Tampa Bay
Raptors. Tampa Bay just all the love this year.
City of champions.
The Charlotte game could be a win because LaMelo Ball's down for the season, so that's got to suck the life out of that team. I don't see it happening there. I see it happening against Minnesota, but I see it happening in the 4th game. They're going to take this all the way down to the buzzer. They're going to win the 2nd game against Minnesota, who's won back-to-back games one time all season, Game 1 and Game 2. They actually beat the Utah Jazz in that stretch, if you could imagine. All right, on to number 2. Let's talk tourney. 11-seeded Syracuse, 12-seeded Oregon State, and 15-seeded Oral Roberts are on to the Sweet 16. Reaction or no action? A 13 seed or a 14 seed will win today. You've got Ohio taking on Creighton and Abilene Christian against UCLA.
I'm going to say reaction to this. I think both of these underdogs are live. Let's start with the Ohio Bobcats. I know you like them.
Love them.
You have pointed out, sorry if I'm stealing some of your thunder, it didn't necessarily play that well in their opening round matchup, but advanced anyways. I've been on Abilene Christian since I looked at this team and their resume.
You have.
Literally the #1 defensive rating in Division I basketball, and we saw them apply that to a Texas team that a lot of people like to make a deep run in this tournament. Texas looked all kinds of out of sorts. That defense is real, and that will travel. Exactly. And they're going up against a UCLA team that I don't think is so dynamic offensively that it makes me pause or think that that defensive efficiency will come down for Abilene Christian. So I think reaction, one of these teams win. If I had to guess which one, I'm picking Abilene Christian to go to the Sweet 16 on the strength of their defense.
Reaction as well. I'm going to call my shot right here, right now on bet. It's going to be Ohio, and they're going to take down Creighton. Creighton has no business being here. They stumbled down the stretch left and right, and they should not have beaten UC Santa Barbara. Now, we covered that game, which was very nice for us, but I felt terrible for those kids. Terrible foul at the end of the game. You missed the bunny. Everything went against them at the end, and it's all their own doing. Better luck next time. But Creighton advances. Creighton is one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the entire country. Those matter a little bit this time of year. And that Ohio win over Virginia, it's a pretty good Virginia team. They're still top 40 in adjusted defense. I know they were coming off the COVID pause. Ohio didn't play well. They shot 7 of 23 from deep in that game and still found a way to win. I think they beat Creighton outright. The answer is reaction. Number 3, the top seed in the Midwest region, Illinois falls to Loyola Chicago on Sunday, highlighting a horrific weekend for the Big Ten Conference, who are now 6-6 in this year's tournament. And as we speak, Iowa down at the half, 10 points to the Oregon Ducks, who didn't even play in the opening round. Reaction or no action? With Iowa, Michigan, and Maryland still standing, the Big Ten will get 18 to the Final Four.
No action for me. I did not have a Big Ten team in the Final Four before this tournament started. And Big Ten teams have done nothing to make me change that stance. I think Michigan is a vulnerable 1 seed, especially without Isaiah Livers, a difficult matchup against LSU, who can just score on anyone at will. And I thought Iowa was the weakest 2 seed that we had in this tournament. And we've already seen one Big Ten 2 seed get bounced like Ohio State did against Oral Roberts. So no action here. Not Michigan, not Iowa. I don't know if there's anyone left. Maybe, nope, Maryland. Is that Maryland?
You don't really seem as if
No
you're that
action.
excited
It's not
about
happening
Maryland
in the Big Ten.
because of you didn't even
It's
remember
not
the
happening
fact.
for the Big Ten. No.
They did have a nice win over UConn as a 3-point dog in that game. I'm with you, no action. So Maryland is going to lose to Alabama in the round of 32, in my opinion. Alabama's a pretty good basketball team. Iowa, I had them going down to Gonzaga. They're probably just going to go down today and save us all the trouble. And that leaves us to Michigan, who is going to deal with LSU today, and that is going to be a very difficult game. If they survive, they get the FSU Colorado winner, which whoever wins that game is going to be riding a ton of hype.
Yep.
And then you might end up with Alabama. Maybe Michigan surprises us. But by golly, were we wrong on the Big Ten and the Pac-12. We kind of nailed the ACC this whole year. All right. Tournament Challenge, Part 2. We're going to be facing off. You can pick sides, you can pick totals. We're going to be doing this all the way through the tournament. The recap of how it went in round 1. We're going to move quickly through here. 5-3 for Team Fortenbaugh, plus 1.7 units. For Fulghum, 2-6, minus 4.35 units. I will, however, side on optimism. I don't kick people when they're down. And that UCLA moneyline pick was a tremendous pick right out of the gate, my friend.
Yeah, we started hot. We had
I wouldn't say you started hot. You won a game, and then you lost one.
But I had a money line winner at plus value, and 2 out of my first 3 being right. Then it was just all downhill.
Which do you regret the most?
There's a lot of options. I am the Big Ten of Tournament Challenge. I am. Just call me Ohio State. Call me Brutus the Buckeye.
Oh, man.
When it comes to my tournament challenge.
All right. I was with you on Winthrop, which you're going to see here in just a second. I liked them in that game. I liked them as a possible upset. They were terrible. UCLA with you, but I didn't call the money line. Job well done. Georgia Tech should have seen it with Loyola. Should have seen it. We had to make the pick, though, before we found out Georgia Tech was down their best player.
Exactly.
So the rock fight in Clemson-Rutgers was solid. San Diego State. Thanks, Dallin.
Yeah.
That one is on you.
Yeah, that's on
said
Dallin.
it last week.
That is on Dallin, 1,000%.
John Gotti, Teflon Don, pick of the week. It was that one does not stick to me. I rolled with Dallin, and if we win, I get credit, and if we lose, he takes the blame for all that trash he talked. That's on him. So I'm changing. I'm going to be 5-2 overall, plus more units. Dallin.
Good job. Good job, but it's just the first round, baby. We can bounce back. That's
all right.
I'm going to turn into the Pac-12 here for this second leg of Tournament Challenge pick.
Let's get right. First game, Gonzaga laying 14.5. That's a small number with a total of 154.5 against the Oklahoma Sooners. Who the Sooners beat in the opening round?
They beat my Missouri Tigers, which is no, large feat. Plenty of teams beat the Missouri Tigers down the stretch of this season, so congratulations to Oklahoma. Now, a bit of a step up in class for the Sooners. Gonzaga, they are not a Missouri Tiger squadron. They're the best team in the country. I was at first going to lay the 14.5, but that's still a lot even for Gonzaga. So I'll just go over because I think driven by Gonzaga's offensive dominance, we know how fast they play, we know how efficient they play, they share the basketball, they shoot it well. I think their offense is going to drive this over, and I have enough respect for Lon Kruger and his offense, even with if Devion Harmon is able to play or not. I still think they'll score enough, but an 85, 90-point game from Gonzaga should help us get over this total.
I'm with you. I'm playing the over as well. Gonzaga, number 1 in college basketball on offense, number 4 in tempo. That's not necessarily a recipe that leads to a lot of unders. Now, we got to go to the Oklahoma side of the equation and ask ourselves, can they handle their fair share of the business? Well, after all, Norfolk State scored 55 on Gonzaga. That's not going to get us over 154.5, but if Norfolk could put up 55, and there's garbage time here, because one of two ways this game is played. It's either a Gonzaga blowout, which means we get the garbage time numbers, or it's a tight game. I don't see a tight game being a low-scoring game.
Right.
I see a tight game being a high-scoring game. I'm with you on the over. Game number 2, the UCLA Bruins are laying 5, total of 133 against your Abilene Christian Wildcats.
This was my best bet on Monday's Daily Wager when we did the show in the morning.
This studio, which we refused to leave, we are
said we're going to
squatting.
stay here for a while. Fueled by just kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, Abilene Christian's dominant defense. This game's going to go under. I'm going to play under 133. I think that's a little bit too high. Abilene Christian and Texas combined for what, 109, 108? And UCLA is not some offense that's that much better than Texas. As a matter of fact, their pace, which is 332nd in all of Division I college basketball, combined with Abilene Christian's number 1 defensive rating, has me thinking these two teams can conspire to give us something well below 133. So I like it so much, I made it my best bet on Daily Wager.
I'm not saying that's wrong, because as you'll see in a moment, I'm on this pick as well. But you just laid out a great case for Abilene Christian as well. You didn't want to just take them? They were really good to you.
I like them, but just in case, no matter who wins, I see a low-scoring game. I'm more confident in the low-scoring game, but Abilene Christian money line, I'll take that too. I'll sprinkle some action on that.
I'm with you there as well. This sets up nicely for an under. You mentioned everything you need to mention about Abilene Christian's defense. It's all factual. Look at UCLA's tempo, 337. They're not in a rush to get up and down the court. They're going to set up their offense. They're going to work through it. Abilene Christian is going to play good defense. You're going to go late into the clock. And when you bet these unders, you have to do the crazy voodoo math, right? You get 2 minutes into the game, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm 4% in, I'm 6% in. It's like, we just got to keep it going. And then they knock down 2 threes, and you're ahead of the pace. Then you're behind the pace. It's madness. Have a towel, have a lot of water, stay hydrated, and dap the sweat, because these unders are very, very brutal. Oh, I like it. Abilene Christian, terrible free throw shooting team. UCLA as well, so even if they get to the stripe, they're going to struggle there. Game number 3, Creighton, the Blue Jays, laying 5.5, total of 148.5 against the Ohio Bobcats.
Yeah, I'm kind of staying away from sides here. I'm going to attack the total. I'm going to go over 148.5. That's a big total, but I do think we have two offenses that are very good, very efficient, top 50 in Division I basketball and offensive rating for both teams. Ohio's 19th in the country, Creighton's 50th, and Ohio's not a good defensive team. They're 217th in terms of defensive rating. I know Ohio can score on anyone, but the fact that they have a bad defense and Creighton's offense is capable enough, I think Creighton will contribute to the total as well. So I don't have a good lean on the side, so I'll play the total, and even though it's a high number, I'm going to go over 148.5.
I'm going to take Ohio, give me the points, put a little bit on the money line as well in this game, but the official point pick will be with the points. Love this team. Love this bet. Favorite bet on the card today. Don't like Creighton, first and foremost. They don't shoot free throws. They haven't been good down the stretch. They should not have beaten UC Santa Barbara, but they did. And then Ohio goes out and beats Virginia, and they don't even play their best game. And when they get together, it's almost the same line that Creighton was laying against UC Santa Barbara, right? That line was around 7.5. This opened 6. Like, are we not realizing that Creighton isn't very good? Remember, Georgetown got after them late in the year. Georgetown got exposed as soon as they got to the tournament against Colorado. I like Ohio to cover. I like them to win this game outright as well. Strongest play on the card. All right. More picks coming in just a moment, but some troubling news. Some troubling news out of the City of Angels. LeBron James over the weekend suffers a high ankle sprain in Saturday's 99-94 loss to the Atlanta Hawks. Adrian Wojnarowski was on Get Up on ESPN this morning. He said, looks like minimum LeBron's going to be out 3 weeks. Could be up to 4 weeks, but minimum 3 weeks he's going to be out. Now, the Lakers lost last night to the Phoenix Suns 111-94. Shout out the under in that game. Lakers are currently the 3 seed in the Western Conference. The record's 28-15, but just 7 games separate the Lakers as the 3 seed from the Grizzlies, who are the 10th seed, right? Only 7 games before they're completely out of the playoff equation, because we have the play-in games this year as well.
Right.
So the next 3 games the Los Angeles Lakers are going to play: Tuesday at New Orleans, Thursday against Philadelphia, Friday against Cleveland. Take me through the week and how it's going to go for the Lakers.
All right, I'm going to predict that they go 1-2 in these 3 games.
That's probably not bad.
Right. I think Frank Vogel won't say that out loud, but I think he'd gladly take that if you gave him truth serum, just getting through 1-2 without LeBron and presumably Anthony Davis.
So let's start right out of the game. Take me through the New Orleans game.
The New Orleans game, I think they're going to take an L. And New Orleans is not a good team. They're an inconsistent team. But the fact that LeBron and Anthony Davis are out and the offensive efficiency is going to drop so much, they won't be able to take advantage of that poor New Orleans defense. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think New Orleans, with Zion Williamson having not to deal with LeBron's physicality or Anthony Davis's length in the lane, will just body them all day and score 30 on 18 shots.
He might go 18 for 18
exactly,
for the field.
18
dunks.
Exactly. Brandon Ingram will do his thing as well, and there's that revenge narrative for Brandon Ingram as well. So I think they lose against New Orleans. I'm definitely taking them to lose against the 76ers. The 76ers, even without Embiid, are just going to be a much better team.
Sixers playing hard.
Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris are playing great. Tobias Harris especially carrying this team. They have a well-rounded roster that can survive without Embiid against lesser competition, and the Lakers will certainly be lesser competition going up against the Sixers without AD and LeBron James. Then they play the Cavaliers, where LeBron, if he was in the lineup, of course they're going to beat the Cavs. He loves to put on a show against Dan Gilbert, whether it's back in Cleveland or Dan Gilbert's team is visiting the Staples Center. It will be in LA. I think that's a game where Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, and Kyle Kuzma can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. We know the Cavaliers are not necessarily a great, formidable team. They've made some transitions this year, trying to move on from the Kevin Love era, even though he's filtered his way back into the lineup but then been injured again. Andre Drummond is now just strictly a lawn ornament that they're waiting to trade. Exactly.
He's in the freezer on ice waiting for this trade that will it
happen? Who knows? Will he be bought out? Who knows? But I think Jarrett Allen and Sexland, Colin Sexton and Darius Garland.
Watch yourself now.
Well, I mean, that's their given nickname. Shout out to the Chase Down Pod for getting not only purchased by the Cavaliers, but giving that nickname to the backcourt that Larry Nance Jr. has taken and run with. But
a lot of details there.
I do think that the Lakers, as constructed without LeBron and AD, have enough firepower to score on Cleveland. And Cleveland's not so efficient and great offensively that they can take advantage of the weakened Lakers defense. Just the system that Frank Vogel runs should be able to hold their own. I say 1-2, a couple of L's on the road in New Orleans, a loss at home to the Sixers, and they beat the Cavs.
First thought out of the gate when I saw this was that unders are going to be a wonderful bet, hopefully until everyone catches up. And I don't know how long that's going to take, but we saw it immediately in the Phoenix game. We talked about it on Daily Wager yesterday. That total was sitting around 214 or 215. It shouldn't have been higher than 208. And then what did it end? It ended 111-94, so 205 points. The Lakers cannot score without LeBron James. They have no scoring options.
Right.
This is a team that goes from, with LeBron on the court, their offensive rating puts them about 12th in the NBA. Without him, dead last. Dead last. Every time he's been out this year, which hasn't been much, they completely fall apart on offense. So you throw him up against a Suns team that plays slow in pace and good defense, of course it's going to be an under. Now we're going to get a New Orleans game where everyone likes to bet the what with New Orleans?
Love to bet the over.
Over. So that number is going to be overinflated. They're going to have an opportunity to work on their defense, play better defense. I'm probably going to bet all 3 unders this week.
I like that.
That's first and foremost. I see him losing the New Orleans game. There's not a lot there to get excited about. New Orleans has to start closing, and they just closed against Denver yesterday. That's big for them because they've blown too many games in the fourth quarter as of late. This is one of those games you have to win. If you're Van Gundy, you pull these guys aside and say, we don't have games where we overlook teams. We're New Orleans. We stink. We have to win these games. Philadelphia could be a team that overlooks them, but with the way they're playing as of late, you don't want to bet against that. Then you get to Cleveland. That would be the game. But I think Cleveland's going to smell blood in the water.
Really?
Opportunity to get a win. If I'm betting and I can get plus money on this, I'll bet that they lose all 3 this week. I think the Lakers are going to be in for some trouble, and it's going to be this great storyline for all of us in sports.
Does that improve LeBron's narrative for most valuable player?
I mean, it should, because we always want to look at value in terms of what you give them when you're out there.
Right.
Well, let's also look at what happens when you're not out there. It's just as clear of a picture in terms of value. I remember the first time I ever heard someone make this case was the year Peyton Manning had that late neck surgery when he was a Colt. It was right at the end of the summer. He missed the whole season. They went 1-15 that year. I think they ended up drafting Andrew Luck. And someone came out and said Peyton Manning should be the MVP. This is a team that every year is in the playoffs, that you saw firsthand what happens when he's not playing. He's so valuable, they became the worst team in the NFL that year.
Speaking of which, the Rockets trade James Harden. They immediately lose 20 games in a row.
And
look at what's happened to the Brooklyn Nets when he went there. So the MVP race is a lot of fun.
Where are you on this right now? We might as well get into that for a second.
I think
Nikola
now
Jokic is now the favorite. With LeBron shelled for 3 weeks, Jokic is like
plus 110, 115, and LeBron's like plus 450, and Embiid's like plus 500, 550, somewhere in that range. I think now's the time to buy on Embiid and LeBron since their prices have plummeted.
Interesting.
And you mentioned Damian Lillard. I'll mention James Harden. I think those guys who are Harden's 14-1, or 10-1, pardon me, and Lillard's 14-1, I think they have now been let back in the door. They've been let back in the door. But Jokic is going to be hard to catch. I think the only ones that can really do it are Embiid and LeBron because, especially in LeBron's case, you're going to see the Lakers bottom out without him on the floor. He'll come back the final month or two of the season. They'll win 10 games in a row, and that narrative will be restored.
This is the year. It's just like the Heisman Trophy. Trevor Lawrence got COVID. The Big Ten only played 6 games, so Justin Fields was out of the equation. And suddenly the voters realized, hey, we can get loose. Let's give it to a wide receiver. Let's make it so it's not always a quarterback award. I think this is the year you go with Dame Lillard. Kind of like Denzel Washington Training Day. Great movie, and he was fantastic, but he got the best Oscar, best actor for that. You could have given it to him for Philadelphia or countless other movies.
So Dame Lillard's going to be in the middle of the Portland streets going, Nikola Jokic ain't got on me.
I didn't know you like to get. Can't finish that line, even though it's you two. Tournament challenge picks continued. Let's keep it rolling. Michigan laying 5, total of 148 against the Tigers of Baton Rouge. Total 148. Where are you going?
I've been attacking a lot of totals here for today's slate, and I'm going to do it again. LSU scores 70 points in their sleep on an off night. We know Michigan is a good defensive team, but their best perimeter defender, Isaiah Livers, is out, lowering that efficiency. Michigan can score as well. Even though LSU has been better defensively, that's certainly not their calling card. Both teams play, especially LSU, at a quick enough pace that I think LSU provides, even in a loss, 75 to 80 points to this total. I think they can win outright, but I'm going to play the total here, go over 148. I think we have a high-scoring game.
Very quickly, if you were forced to pick a side, what would you do?
I would take the head start 5 points with LSU.
I'm going to be with you on the over here as well. You have an LSU team that the recipe is right in line with what you want for an over. They play really fast, they score a ton of points, and they aren't very good defensively. The defense is ranked 122nd, according to Ken Pom, and that may be a bit generous.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. If you watched LSU this season, that LSU defense disappears for big stretches. Here comes Michigan. 148 points were scored in that opening round game against Texas Southern. So if you can get to 148 with Texas Southern, you're going to play LSU. I know that's not necessarily how logic's supposed to work. I could see this one getting to 149, so we cash our over. Next up, Florida State. This is a big one. Probably going to be the best game of the day. Seminoles laying 1.5, total of 140.5 against the Colorado Buffaloes of Boulder.
This one is huge for me because I and our Daily Wager Celebrity Tournament Challenge bracket have the most available points left, possibly, to win amongst us talent celebrities. You know, the beautiful faces that make
it's the loosest possible definition of the word celebrity. Let's go ahead and get that out.
Florida State is my pick to come out of this region and go to the Final Four. But the way I watched Colorado dismantle Georgetown, the more I dug into some of their metrics and analysis of how well balanced this team is, the fact that they're the best free throw shooting team in America, and how important that can be in these games, I'm getting more and more scared. But my initial thought when I filled out my bracket and had Florida State advancing past Colorado in this game, Leonard Hamilton, Scotty Barnes, length, athleticism, defense, they're just more talented than the Colorado Buffs. But I will admit, man, Colorado has me shook, has me scared, especially since the Pac-12 has done nothing but dominate so far in the stands.
That is literally the least confident bet I have ever heard a human being make in my life. You made a pick and then laid out all the reasons why
Colorado's going to win it. Yeah, maybe that's just me trying to reverse engineer some kind of fortune.
Trying to like mush yourself.
Yes,
as you're giving the analysis. I'm taking Colorado. You've got to be able to change your opinion in this racket. You can't be locked in on something. And I was locked in like a lot of people on Florida State. Really like Florida State. Really bought into the hype, the length, the versatility, the fact that they play in the ACC. And then guess what happened? It turns out the ACC stinks. The ACC stinks. They didn't even win the ACC, which leads me to point number 2. They're not in good form as of late. They lost 3 of 5 coming into March Madness to North Carolina, who stunk against Wisconsin, who then got blown out by Baylor. They lost to Notre Dame, who's a terrible basketball team, and they beat Georgia Tech, who's good, was good, especially late in the season. Or no, they lost to Georgia Tech in that game. But the point was being they limping into the tournament, limping in. Then they got in, and in the opening round, who did they face? UNC Greensboro, who was trading punches with them for about 35 minutes of that game. I'm playing Colorado.
Yeah,
20th to three-point shooting, 2nd in free throw shooting, 25th in defense. The free throws are going to be key. Playing the Buffs.
I get it. I kind of wish I was on the Buff side here, but I'm going to stick with my guns. My sister Polly is a Florida State Seminole grad, so kind of keep it in the family as well. Go Seminoles.
Right after this show, you should just walk downstairs and bet Colorado, so that you can either come on this program and say, I told you Florida State, or you can have some money in your pocket. Keeping it moving, SEC, Alabama, the Crimson Tide, they're laying 5.5, total of 138.5 as they get set to host the Maryland Terrapins.
I'm going to play the under in this one again. A lot of totals I just feel more comfortable about than picking sides with this particular board. Alabama defense should be the difference in the game, despite the fact that they play at a fast pace. They play a very dominant brand of defensive basketball with Nate Oates at the helm and Herb Jones, the SEC Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, kind of key in that. They were 20th in defensive rating. Big Herb. They were 20th in defensive rating in the country. And Maryland, again, is not a team that's going to scare me. They're not a team that has a Luka Garza, that has some dynamic, Max Asmus, we've seen it, Oral Roberts. They don't have that dynamic offensive presence to make me concerned about them kind of controlling pace, controlling tempo. I think Bama's going to do that. If that's the team I think is going to do it, what's their strength? It's their defense. That's why I go under.
I'm going to be on the under here with you as well. You have a Maryland team that is very, very poor when it comes to free throws, so let's just establish that right out of the gate. The key for this game is what Maryland wants to do. They generate a ton of their offense shooting the three-pointer. That's fantastic if you can, A, knock down your threes, and B, get open looks. Guess who's really good at defending three-pointers? That would be Alabama, 7th in the country at defending three-pointers. So if Maryland can't get their offense going against one of the country's better defenses, who happens to defend really well against what you want to do, I don't see you scoring a lot of points. Conversely, we look at Alabama. When it comes to tempo, they don't play too fast, but Maryland plays 319th in terms of tempo. I don't see them flying up and down the court either. Under is the play. Final one. This is going to be tough. This is the toughest game on the card to handicap today. USC, who was a 1-point favorite over Kansas, is now pick'em. It's a pick'em game, USC, Kansas, total 134.5.
I'm going to go with the Jayhawks here. Ray Liotta and Goodfellas.
Oh, the cross. Very good. Very good. Missouri grad.
You know I would never bet a red dime of my money on the Kansas Jayhawks for any reason whatsoever. Now, even if they weren't the Kansas Jayhawks, if their name was the Colorado Buffaloes, I'd still look at this matchup and go, USC is going to have the best player on the floor, someone who has a chance to be the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft in Evan Mobley. As Jordan Schultz, our buddy on Daily Wager, told us, and here at Bet as well, Mobley is the first player since Anthony Davis to win Conference Player of the Year, Conference Freshman of the Year, and he's also a defensive player, like stalwart in the middle there for Andy Enfield, who, oh, by the way, is 8-0, perfect in his career as a head coach in the NCAA tournament, going back to his days with Florida, Gulf Coast, Dunk City, and now his time at USC. Kansas has the blue blood reputation, but how good are they really? They've had COVID issues. They've had guys in and out of the lineup. Bill Self and Kansas have oftentimes had inexcusable losses. Not that this would be that against USC, but this is not the strongest Kansas team he's ever brought here. I think USC is the better team. They should have probably been the team on the 3 line, and KU probably should have been a team on the 6 line. So I am going to pick USC to win the game.
Another agreement. I'm on USC as well. Kansas worries me because I've seen them play well this year. It's generally when they're playing at home. I've seen them play poorly this year. It's generally when they're on the road. Now, this is a neutral site game, but that's the same thing as a road game. Right? It's the same thing as a road game, in my opinion, especially with COVID knocking fans out of stadiums, mostly around the country.
And they won't have those Lawrence referees inside Fog Allen, because that's usually what happens and why they win so much at home, because the Zebras really come out of the floor of
I'm not agreeing with the vitriol here, okay? I'm just making a
provide
pick.
video evidence.
And by the way, I am hearing from a little birdie in this piece, Oregon is up 14, blazing across Iowa right now with about 16 minutes to go in that game. He's Tyler Fulghum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. We're about to be kicked out of here. We're going to try to squat. We don't have to pay the air conditioning bill. It's hot.